He's been convicted of 34 felonies.
With the first debate just 10 days away, the Joe Biden campaign have released an attack ad on Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to play this ad for you and discuss my thoughts. I'm also going to get to, in the latter half of this video, what I think one of the main focuses of the Biden campaign should be, apart from, of course, their own platform and issues like women's rights. But when it comes to attack ads, what they should be focusing on, apart from the fact that Trump is a criminal, which is what this attack ad is focused on.
In the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working, lowering healthcare costs and making big corporations pay their fair share. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
All right. So clearly, the intention with this ad is to separate these two into categories. One, look at this criminal, look at these black and white images, look at this terrible man for multiple reasons, not just the fraud conviction. And it's weird saying not just like Trump is such a criminal for a variety of reasons. But that's on the one side. On the other hand, you have a current president who, look, he even got a couple things done. So they've managed to throw a couple of policy accomplishments into that attack ad on Trump. I think this is a fairly solid ad. It's the real issue is the political climate. What kind of impact does an ad like this really have when people are already so clear and divided on where they stand? I have a very tough time believing that there are really swing voters right now. I'm sure there are CNN, NBC, that they managed to find them and put all 10 of them on TV. But apart from those 10 individuals, on those various segments, the swing voter is not going to be the deciding factor here. The deciding factor is going to be turnout for the Democratic Party. Are young people going to come out to vote? Are people that brought the election to Biden last time, people that are, that may consider themselves a lot more further left than Joe Biden is, people that are young, are these voters going to come out to vote for Biden in 2024? That is going to be the real deciding factor. An ad like this really just gets a conversation going about, hey, look, don't forget, Trump is a criminal. Like that I think is really the intention, is not to let that news sort of go away and to continue hammering home that Trump is a criminal. But I'm going to get to, in this video, what I think the greater focus should be. And maybe not necessarily from the Biden campaign, but at least from maybe PACs around him. But first, I want to show you some data here to show you that, again, there are not many swing voters. So this is a poll from the New York Times. We were able to recontact nearly 2,000 voters we polled in April and May. Back then, this group supported Trump by 3 points. So they were contacted. This is before the verdict, Trump leading by 3. After the verdict, there was a modest shift towards Biden. Trump still up by 1. So a swing of 2 points over Trump being found guilty. Swing voters are not going to be the deciding factor here. These people, they don't exist. They're ghosts. So this should not be the focus. But I got to show you how the Trump campaign reacted to this. A Trump campaign spokesman said the Biden campaign's new ads demonstrated that Mr. Biden had led a coordinated attack against Mr. Trump, a theory of which there is no evidence. In addition to the New York case, Mr. Trump has been indicted in 2 separate federal cases and 1 case in Georgia. Quote, Joe Biden and his campaign are stupid enough to highlight how they have weaponized the justice system to attack the leading presidential candidate and their opponent in order to interfere in the election, said Stephen Chung, a Trump campaign spokesman. Quote, the Biden campaign has spent tens of millions of dollars in advertising, yet their numbers have not changed. I mean, this is fair. I guess that's a fair attack. The other one is obviously ridiculous. But this gets to policy mattering. Biden's far-right position on Israel matters when it comes to turnout. People that care about human rights that vote is going to be impacted come November. So again, that is the greater issue here. But the other issue is Biden's age. And this gets to what I think the Biden campaign or people around them should focus on. So this was over the weekend. Trump, let's just watch this.
He doesn't even know what the word inflation means. I don't think if you gave him a quiz, I think he should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson, does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, congressman from Texas? He was the White House doctor. And he said I was the healthiest president he feels in history. So I liked him very much immediately.
Here's the problem. His doctor's name is not Ronnie Johnson. It's Ronnie Jackson. So this made a lot of headlines for obvious reasons. He is bragging about how smart he is, slamming Biden for being, mentally unfit while getting the name of his doctor wrong. Now, I'll get to some other examples of Trump's brain in a second here, but this should be the focus. Moments like this should be a focus of the people supporting Biden that have money. Now, I'm saying that because I don't necessarily think that there should be attack ads from the Biden campaign ending with, I'm Joe Biden, I approve this message, when he is attacking Trump's mental unfitness, because that just, let's just be obvious, or let's just be clear. The attack ad won't hit as hard about how Trump is mentally unfit if you end the attack ad with a message from Joe Biden. Because people are obviously going to then equate, hey, but how about Biden and his brain? But if you have an attack ad from like a PAC that doesn't end in, Biden approving the message, then I think it hits harder and is a counter narrative to the narrative that, Biden is too old and mentally unfit. I think you could fairly argue both of them have some serious mental issues. Trump's just aren't as highlighted as much because he has so many other problems that it seems almost pointless to focus on how many mistakes and gaffes and all these getting names wrong, how often this happens. It feels like a waste to focus on this when he is a convicted criminal, not to mention the variety of things when it comes to Project 2025 and the far right individuals he associates himself with. Like there are many more serious issues that I think make Trump worse than, getting some names wrong. But that is the focus that the Trump side has had on Joe Biden, because that's all they can really hit him on, at least from the right. But here is just to bolster the point about Trump's brain. This author did some extensive interviews with Donald Trump in writing a book about the Apprentice in Wonderland. And here's what he said about Donald Trump.
The other thing that I think is really interesting, because I really got to know Donald Trump post-presidency, and I got to see what he was like. And over the weekend, he was talking about how Joe Biden needs to take a cognitive test. Joe Biden, isn't all there. Donald Trump had severe memory issues. As the journalist who spent the most time with him, I have to say he couldn't remember things. He couldn't even remember me. We spent an hour together in 2021 in May, and then a few months later, I went back to the White House. I went back to Trump Tower to talk to him about his time in the White House, and he had this vacant look on his face, and I said, "Do you remember me?" And he said, "No." He had no recollection of our lengthy interview that we had, and he wasn't doing a lot of interviews at that time. So I think that the American public really needs to see this portrait of Donald Trump, because this shows what he is like and who he is and who he has always been.
So people that have spent a lot of time with Trump appear to have this impression of him. And it isn't just this author. There was a recent meeting he had with CEOs. And I don't know why they were surprised, but apparently the CEOs were surprised at how just all over the place Donald Trump was. There's also, there are just countless examples. Video of Trump confusing E. Jean Carroll with ex-wife in deposition, like insane. Trump confuses Nikki Haley with Nancy Pelosi, talking about Jan 6. This is something that even Nikki Haley commented on when she was still running against Donald Trump, saying, quote, "He mentioned me multiple times in that scenario. The concern I have is I'm not saying anything derogatory, but when you're dealing with the pressures of the presidency, We can't have someone else that we question whether they're mentally fit to do this. And now, of course, she has endorsed Trump because obviously, but she was even saying this at the time. And, there's many examples. Here's another one. Trump confuses Biden with Obama. Again, here are 8 other recent times. So apparently Trump over and over and over again has confused Biden with Obama. And you could search up more. Just look up, I don't know, Trump gaffe, Trump brain. Like there are many examples of this. They're just the Democratic Party and the groups supporting the Democratic Party aren't as focused on that because they see greater issues at hand. But if you want to really combat the narrative against Biden and his age and his cognitive issues, as I'm currently having some right now, then a great way to do that would be to focus on Trump's own problems in that same area.